and welcome to Brennan IT's Microsoft Teams webinar series. This is our webinar 3, our Microsoft Teams applications and group sharing resources. My name is Alex Conker. I'm the marketing coordinator here at Brennan IT, and I'll be helping to facilitate this webinar today. So we'll just go through some housekeeping first. So this presentation is being recorded. So once it has finished, we'll send that one through to you via email afterwards. If you would like to enable closed captions, you just have the instructions there on the screen to activate that. In terms of questions, they will be answered throughout the session by using the chat function, and you also can put yourself as anonymous if you'd like. For any sort of questions that do require a little bit more demonstration, we'll just leave some time at the end to answer those questions. And finally, just going through the agenda. So we'll start off with our about Microsoft 365 group shared resources and applications, other productivity applications available, what's new to Microsoft Teams, and we'll also just recap what we've demonstrated to you today. And again, we'll just leave some time for the Q&A at the end. And helping us with this presentation, we have Ray Lim, who is our consultant team lead here at Brennan IT, that will help us with this. So Ray, over to you.
Thanks, Alex. Hi all, thanks for joining the webinar. As part of Microsoft's focus on making Teams as a workspace hub, multiple apps are constantly being rolled out to increase productivity. I won't be able to cover all the apps available in the Microsoft suite in this webinar, but I will highlight the group resources apps and what's new. As Jess has covered in the last webinar, when you create a team, an Office 365 group is automatically created in Azure AD. The group controls access to the team and its shared resources. The group shared resources or apps that I would like to cover firstly are OneNote, Planner, and Stream. Just a quick recap again. When you create a Microsoft team, the following resources will be created: a SharePoint site, shared calendar, shared mailbox, Stream video workspace, OneNote notebook, Power BI workspace, Microsoft Forms workspace, and a planner plan, which you can add on after. So OneNote, what is OneNote? So OneNote is a digital note-taking tool that is available to install on your desktop. The web version of OneNote is also available in the cloud and works with any browser. It gives you the ability to store your notes in the cloud. You can add your notes via your mobile and it will be synced to the cloud. This allows you to see all your notes in one place. You can create multiple notebooks, and in each notebook you can create sections, and within each section you can organize your information into pages. In your team's OneNote, you can collaborate as a team by capturing or share processes, ideas, or knowledge. Microsoft Planner. Microsoft Planner is a team-based task management tool that you can visually organize and track progress of your team tasks. You can create plans, organize and assign tasks to your team members. Similarly to a Kanban board, you can create different buckets based on the project stages like Sprint 1, Sprint 2, Sprint 3. As part of the Office 365 group resources, a plan can be created for your team to provide updates and manage their tasks. For example, you can use Planner to have a discussion on new and existing tasks during your weekly meeting. Team members can also easily associate any team files to their tasks as a reference. In summary, Planner is a great tool that encourages transparency and accountability, and in no doubt will improve your teamwork. Microsoft Stream, excuse me. Microsoft Stream is an internal company video hub. The purpose is quite similar to YouTube. Everyone's familiar with YouTube, but it is private and only for your employees. Company videos like message from the CEO or educational videos can be shared across the organization wide in Stream. Stream is also a platform where your recording of meetings are stored automatically. By default, meeting recordings are only available to your meeting attendees. However, it can be shared to your other colleagues within the organization as well. In Microsoft Stream, you can organize your videos by topics in different channels. Videos stored in Microsoft Stream will be available in the recycle bin once deleted. You can also restore a video within 30 days before it is permanently purged or deleted. Each tenant is allocated about 500 gigs plus 0.5 gig per license user of storage. One of the biggest limitations in Stream is videos in Stream can't be shared with an external person at the moment. However, Microsoft has listened and improved Stream. As of 5th of October, which is on Monday, you can set your team's meeting policy to have meetings saved to OneDrive and SharePoint instead of Stream. This will definitely make it easier for you to share your videos with externals if required. You can opt in or opt out or take no actions now. But by Q3 of this financial year, no new meeting recordings can be saved to Microsoft Stream and will be automatically saved to OneDrive and SharePoint regardless of the meeting policy set. Forms, Microsoft Forms. Microsoft Forms is also available as part of the group resources. A form workspace will be created when a team is created. The form will be available as part of your team membership where members will have access to the form and can view responses. Microsoft Forms allows you to quickly or easily spin up a basic survey or quiz or a poll. It is a tool to collect and manage responses. Because Microsoft Form is available as a mobile app, users do not need to get on their laptops or computer and can complete a survey or quiz on their mobile, which is really, really easy. Now, I'm going to go into other productivity apps available that are not bounded by the Office 365 group by default. Power Apps. While Microsoft Forms allows you to build basic forms, Power App is a tool to build rich web forms and mobile applications. In short, it makes app making easier. Power Apps gives you the ability to digitize business expertise into custom applications. To help you spin up an app quickly, Microsoft has put together some templates that are ready available. Some of the example templates are like expense claims, site inspections, and leave request app. Power Apps can also integrate between different platforms, systems like Jira, CRM, etc. The app that you see on the screen is a basic staff recognition app where you can nominate a peer based on your organization values. HR and management can then review the submissions and pick quarterly winners based on each value category. The platform used to store the submission data is a SharePoint list. You can always add this app on Teams as one of the tabs, and people can go in there and start populating the fields and submit their new shout out. Another example is where you can build an app for site inspectors where they can run through a checklist on their mobile or tablet while on site, and all the information will be captured and stored in a SharePoint list or any database that can capture information and store information. This makes it easier for the site inspectors as the data is captured immediately when they submit the checklist or form. Once submitted, there will be a workflow that runs in the background to inform the team that there is a new item in the list for them to review. This is powered by Power Automate, which I will cover in the next slide. Power Automate used to be known as Microsoft Flow. However, the purpose and function remains the same. Power Automate is considered a business optimization tool. You can replace any manual or complex processes by automating them using Power Automate. This tool is known and proven to increase your productivity and definitely saves time. It also decreases errors and allows you to standardize processes in an organization using the tool. For example, you can quickly create a workflow for a CAPEX request approval in your organization. This could include 2 levels of approvals with different conditions. For example, Any CAPEX request value that is more than 100K will require CFO approval, and anything below can be approved by the department manager. As part of this process, you can also include notification emails to the requester to inform them once the CAPEX is approved. Power Automate is definitely a great tool, well improved from the SharePoint workflow days, as it gives you a visual representation of your repetitive tasks or process with all the actions like approvals, email notifications, or updates, so you can pick up the logical flow of the process quickly. Power BI. To simplify, Power BI is an analytics tool, reporting tool, or as Microsoft would call it, a visualization tool to build interactive reports. Power BI allows you to connect to hundreds of data sources. It also allows you to model your data and securely share insights in your organization. Your business data can come from multiple areas. It can be an Excel file, it can be from a centralized data warehouse, a SharePoint list, or many more. With Power BI, you get to make better and smarter decisions for your business based on the data consolidated and analyzed. Other than displaying your report in Teams, you can also embed your reports in SharePoint, like your intranet homepage for your employees to view. With Power BI free license, you can perform data visualization and analysis in your own workspace, but will not have the ability to share with others. Power BI Pro license will be required to share content. Now, what's new to Teams? Microsoft Lists. Microsoft Lists in Teams is a new tool or application in the Microsoft suite. Unlike the traditional SharePoint list, if you're familiar with SharePoint lists, Microsoft Lists is a smarter list with pre-built templates. You can view the list in grid, card, or calendar format, which is quite similar to a SharePoint list. Like any other apps, Microsoft Lists is also available as a mobile app. So this is different from a SharePoint list. SharePoint lists do not have a separate app for it, but for Microsoft Lists, you have an app for it. Now in Teams, you can add lists and start tracking anything relevant to your team. There are multiple list templates available, such as like issue tracker, employee onboarding, incidents, event itinerary, etc. You can also customize your list with rules, flows, and forms. List app in Teams have been completely rolled out, and there will be more to come. In summary, Microsoft Lists is an evolution of SharePoint Lists. Microsoft has developed Lists as a standalone app to stay competitive against apps like Monday.com, if you've used it before, and Asana. Now, I'll quickly demo some of the apps mentioned earlier. So we are now in Teams, and I will start with demoing Stream just very quickly at a high level. So you can access Stream by going to your dashboard, apps dashboard on the top left. If you don't see it here, you can go to Microsoft 365, and you can hit on this dashboard and you'll see Stream. Once you click on Stream, it will bring you to the homepage of Stream. So this is where your videos are being stored at the moment. You can discover the videos by clicking on the tab Discover, and you can see videos. And if you've created channels to divide the videos by topics, you can click on channels, and you can search for people as well and groups. So if I click on videos, I could see there's not a lot of videos in this test environment. Apologies for that, but we've got one here, which is a daily stand-up. And if I click on the ellipsis, you see that you can download the video. So currently, with the current situation, with Microsoft moving giving the ability to be able to save your files to SharePoint and OneDrive. You will not need to download the video anymore and then send it via email to your external to an external attendee that does not have access to Stream. You can now share that video from SharePoint or OneDrive. To make some changes in Stream for videos, you can make the video allow everyone in your company to view this video by ticking that box. You can also give access to other attendees or non-attendees of the meeting by searching for people and adding them and giving them access to this video here. You can also click share and copy that video link. And you can share it via Teams by posting a message, or you can send it via email. Note this is again only for internal. An external user will not be able to access Microsoft Stream. All right, so moving on from Microsoft Stream, I will talk a little bit more about OneNote. OneNote is a great tool to use every day. I use it every day myself to capture notes and information. You can always add a note in your team by clicking on the tab and click on OneNote and create a new notebook. So you can create a notebook within your group in your teams, and you can start capturing your team information or processes and share knowledge in that notebook. Now, within a notebook, there will be sections. You can create multiple notebooks. In this Agile Team notebook here, there is a section and page. So you can divide, or you can sort of organize your information by sections and into pages as well. It's very simple to use and very straightforward. Planner. So I'm going to talk about Planner now. Click on Planner. So this is an example of a planner that's been created. Again, you can create a new planner by clicking on the plus on the tab and hit Planner. So for example, if I'm going to come out of this and I'm going to go to the information technology. So for example, as an IT manager, I would like to use Planner to start planning for a full implementation of teams within my organization. There are a lot of tasks involved, and I would like to get my team involved as well and get them to be accountable for some of the tasks that needs to be completed. So I'll click on the plus sign here and hit Planner. And I'll call these Teams Full Implementation. I can leave this tick to say that I'm going to post this to the channel about this tab. Now, I've got my planner created. And there is, by default, there is a bucket here that's called To Do. And this is where you can put in your tasks. So buckets is a logical grouping of work and tasks. You can rename the first bucket here, like To Do. For example, I'm going to start with Skype to Teams. And I'm going to create another bucket called File Migration to Teams. And I'm going to create another bucket called Teams Calling. So these are all the logical orders of all the tasks that needs to be completed in order to achieve that goal, particular bucket goal, which is Skype to Teams, and then next to look into file migration to Teams and Teams calling. I can now start to add tasks and assign it to someone within the team. For example, I can now say, create a plan to migrate everyone from Skype to Teams. And then I can assign someone straight away. Maybe I'll assign that to myself, which is an admin. I'll send it to myself for now. And I'll give myself a due date. So maybe 15th of October, and I add a task. All right, now you've got a task created. You can quickly create more tasks here, communicate deadline and changes. Oops, spelling. And I'll assign it to Tony Stark. And I'll set a due date, the 30th. So going to the tasks, you will see that it's in the bucket of Skype to Teams. It's currently not started. You can change it to in progress if it's already in progress. And the priority can be urgent, important, medium, and low. So I'll set this to important. And I've already set the due date, which is fine. And I can also add notes in here. If there is more minor tasks within that main task, you can create a checklist to ensure that you're ticking them off, to ensure before you select to say complete, the task is complete. So you can add a checklist here. You can add a number of items in here. You can also add attachment and comments. Over here, this is what you see as label. Label, you can categorize with anything. As you've got the priorities here already. So if this is not available, you can actually put urgent, in progress, or completed and things like that. But you can always use label to categorize these tasks for anything else. Or maybe it could be by different groups of people or different departments that needs to look at this. So it gives you a quick overview to see who is involved quickly, which department is involved by looking at the color. So for example, if I'm going to take pink, you see a pink that would appear there. So at a quick look, you will see that this, maybe is assigned to the marketing department or something like that. I'm just going to add one more task here. Before I go, file server as a task. Assign it to Tony Stark. Can assign it to task. So now, with Planner, you can also change the group by bucket. If I only want to see, all the tasks that's been assigned to a particular person, I can change that by clicking on Assign To, and I'll get a different view to see what task is unassigned, what task is under admin, what task is under Tony Stark. I can view progress as well to say which one is not started, what is in progress and completed. This can go by due date as well. And by labels, as mentioned earlier. So you can rename the labels. So you don't have to just use the color names, but you can definitely relabel them to something that works for you. And you can also group them by priority. So there's a lot of ways that you can view the tasks which works for you. You can also filter tasks. If you only want to see tasks that's only assigned to Tony Stark, I can click on the filter and I'll only see Tony Stark's tasks in here. Just remove that. So you can view the tasks in a list as well. So these are the different views. You can see it in a list. This is by default in a board view. In a chart, you can see which members has got tasks assigned and how many tasks are assigned. This will help you manage the tasks within your team. You can also see what task is in progress, the status of it, the bucket, and the priority. You can also see the task in a calendar view. So when you click on schedule, this is what you see in the calendar view. As an overview, you can see what is due and what's not, and what is in progress. So that's Microsoft Teams. Now, I'm just going to head to Microsoft Form. So again, you can access Microsoft Form by clicking on, if you don't see it there, see Microsoft Forms. So Microsoft Forms, you can create a survey for your organization. Anyone can do that. And if you click on a new form, You can easily start typing the questions, can add questions and start give it a title as well. So for example, HR would like to do an employee survey to see how is everyone doing working remotely, and we want to keep the responses as anonymous to make it comfortable for employees maybe to respond. So first I'm going to name this form Remote Working Survey. And I always like to put in any surveys to inform the user that this is not going to take too long. And I'll say this is only going to take 1 minute to complete, right? And I can start creating my questions. So for one, maybe I'll start off by creating a choice, and I'll put in there, do you like working from home? And this can be a yes, which is a quick one that you can select, no. And you can also add other options if required, like maybe, if you want to. If you do not want that option, you can always select the bin to delete it. You can make the question required or allow multiple answers. As this is a choice question, they can select more than once. But because this is a Boolean yes or no question, I'll just leave it as it is and will not allow multiple answers. And I can select this as required. So this is compulsory for them to complete before they submit the form. Another question that I can put in is ratings. So there's a lot of different options that you can use. So for this one, I'm going to ask the question to say, how would you like, no, how would you rate working from home experience? And I can select whether it's going to be 5 stars or I can put 10. They can rate whichever. So I'm just going to leave it to 5 to make it easier and quicker. Oops. And I can select whether I want it to be a number or star. I think star will be better. And I can make this, whether it's required, I can turn it off if it's not required. I'll leave it as required. And the next thing is, other than choice, there's ratings and there's text as well. So a single line of text, answers that you want in single lines of text. You can also add a date field. And if you do not want that question, you can remove that by deleting the bin. Very easy and straightforward. And these are your other options here that you can create, questions that you can create. So now I'm just going to go with text and say any other feedbacks. And leave it as a single line of text, and I will set it to not required. If it's going to be, if you're expecting long answers for this, you can select long answers to allow more characters to be added when they're answering the question. So I'll leave it as long answers just in case. And you're done. As you can see on top here, Remote Working Survey is saving automatically, and now it says saved. So now the form is actually saved automatically. The next tab here is responses. So if someone starts to respond to the survey, you'll see the responses here. You can also view the results, the answers, as well as you can also export this to Excel. Now, coming back to the survey that I've created, you can start making changes to the settings by clicking on the ellipsis here and then click settings. I'll do that again just in case I went too quickly. Settings. So now the first question is, who can fill out this form? So obviously this is targeted to your internal. Note, you can also send surveys to your external. So maybe you've run an event or like a webinar, you can actually send out to get a feedback from your attendees to the event or the webinar by sending them a link to the form, and they can start responding to the form and you'll get the responses. So for this, because this is more for internal, I'll leave it as only people in my organization can respond. Do I want to record the name? No, because as mentioned earlier, I want to keep this anonymous to make it comfortable for everyone to respond as honest as possible. So I'll remove that tick so people can respond as anonymous. Do I want to make sure that I get one response per person? Yes. So I'll tick that to make sure that each person can only respond once in the organization. The other thing is you can also set the start date and end date of this survey. So at the end date, when it expires, no one can actually respond to the survey anymore. So if you click on end date, you can select a date and a time. You can also shuffle questions just to change it up a little bit if you want to. And you can customize the thank you message, which is very, very useful to say thank you. Thanks for responding. You can also set to say, I want to get email notification of each responses. It can be a spam to your inbox. So it's up to you whether you want to get notified or not. So you can leave it blank or tick it if you need to know that each responses has come true. So now the settings are set, you're ready to go. Now I want to share this. So because this is only available to my organization, I can copy this link and send this link to the organization and they can start responding to the survey. I can also share this as a template to my peer if they want to reuse the survey for something else with quite similar questions. We can duplicate that. I can also share to collaborate this. So maybe I've built this survey and I want someone else to have a look and be able to make changes. I can click on this and get a link and share that with my peer or my other team member who will be reviewing this and making changes to the form. So that's Microsoft Form. And just to give you, show you a preview, when you click on preview, this is what they see. Please note that you can also change the background color here and make it a little bit colorful. But there is not too much changes that you can make to the form. Survey, this is quite basic, but you can definitely change up some of the colors, background colors, the theme of the form. So that's Microsoft Form. Now, I would like to talk on Power Automate. So Power Automate, as I mentioned, is a workflow tool or automate that can automate your process within your organization. So Power Automate. So this is a Microsoft list, and we have created a issue tracker list in SharePoint under the project, Agile project team. So going back to here, let me just click just to show you here under the project, Agile project team. When I click on issue tracker, I'll see Microsoft list here. So this Microsoft list is actually stored in SharePoint. So if I'm going to click and open in SharePoint, I'll see the list here and it's under the associated SharePoint site. In here, I can actually start creating some workflows. It could be a reminder, sorry, excuse me, or it could be a notification email. So if I click on Power Automate and create a flow, there are some options in Flow, templated options that is available that's already set up for you. And all you need to do is just configure them if it meets your needs. So in here, you see send and customize emails. You can select that. You can start an approval if there's an approval that's required, where it triggers a workflow, approval request via email, and the person will get an email with an approve button or reject button, and they can just click approve or reject. So you can actually create a flow from some of the hundreds of templates that are available, and I'll show you how. So you can, to go to Power Automate, you can also click on this and go to Power Automate. So this will bring you to the main dashboard of Power Automate. So now in Power Automate, I can click on My Flows, and I'll see the flows that I've created. Team flows is when you share your flows with someone else. And I would definitely encourage you to do that, especially if you are an admin. It's always good to share that flow with another person so that the other person can make changes to the flow as well. The other person or whoever, so no one else can see my flow except for myself. So in team flows, you can see that there are templates here that are available. And you can also create a flow from blank. Very easy. And I'll show you how to create one now. So I'm just going to call this issue tracker workflow. And I want this to trigger because Microsoft list is actually a SharePoint list as well. I can select to say when an item is created, create. And where do I want this to be triggered from? So I want it to be triggered from the issue tracker list. So I'll select Project Agile, Projects Team, and I'll select the issue tracker list. Done. Next step is I want to be notified in Teams when an issue is raised. So I can select Microsoft Teams. So the trigger can be from anywhere. But for Microsoft Teams, I want to be able to post a message when a new item is created. So now I just need to populate the message or the team that I want the message to be populated at. And I'm going to select Project Agile Project Team, Channel. Just wait for it to come up. It takes a while. So these are Teams channel. And I hit General, and I can now start to put in the message that I want to be posted. So I can say, please note that an issue has been raised in the issue tracker list. I can put in some details of the issue. Title, issue is title, and then issue description. And shader. So I can select created by display name. Then I can hit save. And that's your workflow. So if I were to go back now to the list of my workflows, I'll see that an issue tracker workflow has been created and is actually on. So it's active. As you can see, this is grayed out. That means that it's not active, but this is active. So currently I've got two issue tracker workflows. So I might just turn off one just to make sure. I'll just turn it off and now it becomes gray and have that one working. So this is the same that I've created before. That says post a message here. So now if I go back quickly, go back quickly and I'll create a new issue here. Teams is not working. And then make it a priority. It's critical. Restarted my computer, but no changes. Make it as critical. I leave everything as it is and hit save. Now I've got a new item in here and it's set to critical. And if I go back to my Teams under post, you can post this message to another Teams if you want to. It's all good. You can definitely do that. Now I'll just refresh my Teams. It will take a while to come true. Just going to continue to refresh. Ah, there you go. Whoops. Now you see there is a message that's come true. A new issue has been submitted. Please have a look and assign the ticket. Teams is not working. Restarted my computer, but no changes. And lodged by admin, which is the account that I'm in right now. So that concludes the demo for this webinar. And I'll pass it back to Alex or Beck.
Great. Thanks so much, Ray. So yeah, we'll now open the floor to any questions that you may have. We have had some throughout the session, so yeah, please feel free to ask any questions that we may not have answered before. Okay, so we have some questions coming through. So we have a question, what about live streams?
So live streams, I think, will still remain in Microsoft Stream for now. I'm not sure what are the plans for Teams Live yet. I think Microsoft is yet to make any announcement around that in terms of live stream. But for the meeting recordings, that will be a change where it's going to be stored in SharePoint and OneDrive.
Excellent. Just wait a few more minutes for any other questions that might pop through. Okay, Ray, we've got another one. So can you briefly show how authorizations work in Power Automate?
Yeah, definitely. So if I'm going to come to the issue tracker, there are connections. So authorization through connections here. And if I go into the workflow itself, let me see if there is an authorization here. You can see that there are my connections here, and it's using this account to run the action itself. So this account would need to have at least some access, certain access to be able to run this action. So the authorization that's available is all in under my connections here. So this part or connections here, edit. So authorization is done by these accounts.
Great, thank you. We'll still wait a few more moments for any other questions. Great. So Ray, we've got another one coming through. So we actually do have a few flowing through, so we might, yeah, just a little bit slower than usual. So adding external members to my team site is a matter of changing the settings, or is there any additional cost to the organization to have this feature?
So can you repeat that again? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. So adding external members to my team site, is it a matter of changing the settings, or is there any additional cost to the organization to have this feature?
Yeah. So there won't be any additional costs to add external users into your site or your guest user. Obviously, without the cost side of things, there is some limitation. Like, for example, your guest that comes into Teams will have some limitations in here. And with your SharePoint site, they pretty much can do whatever that you give them in terms of access. So if you give an external an access, let's say if I go into site permissions with the SharePoint site, and I can start inviting people. So the settings that you need to ensure is that in your admin center, you need to allow external sharing firstly. So if external sharing is allowed in your organization, then you can invite an external user into your SharePoint site or Teams. So you can add a member or group here and add members. You can type an external. I think this is, yeah, as you can see, there is ratio@yahoo.com. There is an external user that's already been added into our tenant, into the tenant before. So you can select that person and give access to this person to this site in here.
Great. Got another one. So what have you found to be the main differences between Planner and Trello?
So from what I understand is that, so I haven't had much opportunity to use too much of Trello. I've used the basic of Trello with the free account. And it's really, really similar. I think Trello, if it's a paid Trello, I think you get more functionalities. But it really depends on what you need. And I think Planner meets a lot of basic needs in terms of organizing your tasks. It's got the same view like Trello, like how you create the different buckets in Trello. planner, you can also create at different buckets. You can also share it with an external as well. So if you've got a guest in your teams and you assign a task to them, they can also see the task in Planner.
Great. We've got another question on Planner. So in Planner, are there any ways or plans to add a Gantt view?
Good question. I'm not sure actually if there are any plans to add a Gantt view. That would be really, really good. That would definitely elevate Planner into a whole new level. But Gantt, yeah, so unfortunately, I'm not too sure about that. Maybe it could be something that I can sort of look into, and then we can come back to you with more information around that.
Great. Okay, so we've got another one, a different comparison. So what's the difference between live events and streams?
So live event is a live event where you can have you can have more than 400 people in your organization or external people to join a live event. Stream is really for internal. It's just an area where you can store videos in stream. So live event is a live event where, yeah, you can create so Teams event. So Teams meeting is mostly for a specific group of people or a set group of people, but live event can be open up to everyone. For example, for this webinar, it's a live event and it's open to any externals that wants to join the webinar. As long as they've got the link, they can join. And obviously with the webinar, because this is recorded, it will be stored, this live event will be stored in Microsoft Stream. However, the external will not be able to access Stream, and that recording will need to be downloaded by somebody internal or the producer of the live event, and then share it with the external via email or via SharePoint sites.
Great. All right, we'll just wait a few more moments to see if there's any other questions flowing through, and then if not, we'll conclude this session shortly. Okay, great. So that concludes our webinar session for today. So thank you so much for joining. We hope you found this content useful. Thank you, Ray, for our presenter for this webinar. And just a reminder, we will be sending out the recording to you via email, and also will be available on our landing page, just in case you would like to revisit this content. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a good rest of the day.